Mr Andrew Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, for allowing me the opportunity to deliver my maiden speech in the House, and may I compliment my predecessors from across the country who have done so with their own today. My immediate predecessor, it wasn't his maiden speech, but I would compliment him on a speech he made in this House some time ago regarding post officers, which was against the current government. Mr Speaker, I will begin my speech by acknowledging and paying tribute to my predecessor, Tom Levitt, who was the MP for High Peak for 13 years from 1997. In my 7 years as a candidate in the High Peak, he always treated me with the courtesy of becoming a member of this House, a steadfastly loyal Member of Parliament, an assiduous attender in this House, who took the decision late last year not to stand for re-election, an action in his maiden speech 13 years ago he referred to as the chicken run. Mr Deputy Speaker, I am especially proud to represent the High Peak, not because it's an area of beauty and many attractions, but I was actually born and bred within that area. And as we move towards the summer recess, I would like to recommend to fellow members that the High Peak is a wonderful place to take your summer holidays. It is a large constituency, covering over 200 square miles, and it contains some of the most beautiful countryside in Britain. And as I've sat and listened to many maiden speeches over the last few days, and everybody proclaims the most beautiful seat in Britain, I welcome you all challenging for second place. In Buxton, we have numerous architectural delights. We have the Crescent, we have the Devonshire Dome, and the renowned Buxton Opera House, which is a fabulous example of a Matcham theatre, one of the finest in the country, and the venue for the Buxton Festival, which offers an opera and literary festival to rival anything that Glyndebourne has to offer, and one graced only last year by my right honourable friend the Prime Minister. Buxton is also the home of the world-famous water, oft-seen being consumed at famous sporting events across the world, and more recently being drunk by President Obama. And if he continues to consume Buxton water and benefit from all its life-giving properties, he may well be able to live up to his election slogan, "Yes, we can." In the north of the High Peak, we have the town of Glossop, which is a different character than Buxton, but in every way it's equal. With its industrial architecture, it shows a different face, and one that tourists all too easily miss. The neighbouring village of Tintwistle gave us Vivian Westwood, and Tintwistle is a village in the High Peak that has very distinct problems with traffic, something I shall return to before I sit down. Glossop also has the proud distinction of being the smallest town to provide a team in the highest level of English football. At the time, Glossop North End, last year's Wembley finalists in the FA Vars, were owned by Mr Samuel Hill Wood, a predecessor of mine and a former member of this House, who eventually left the town to concentrate his efforts at the Arsenal, where his family still retain a considerable interest. I would add at this stage, for those members who are fans of the television programme The League of Gentlemen, that is also filmed in my constituency in Hatfield. So therefore I assume I am by default, Mr Deputy Speaker, also the Member of Parliament for Royston Vasey. The Hope Valley is a large area, arguably the most beautiful of all, albeit against strong competition. It is contained entirely within the Peak District National Park, which is the oldest national park in the country and reputed to be the second most visited in the world after Mount Fuji. The caves of Castleton, which are the source of Blue Johnstone, unique in the world to these caves, and mined since Roman times, and the southern end of the Pennine Way in Edale are particular delights. But it is an area where the farming community play a crucial part in making the High Peak what it is. They have suffered much in recent years, Mr Deputy Speaker, and they are a group for whom I hope to stand up for in this House. I could go through the High Peak village by village, as they all have their own attractions. But the tradition is to be brief. I am conscious there are lots of other nervous people trembling in the wings. So I will mention that my home village of Chaplain Firth is the home of Frodo Breaklinings, and New Mill's the home of Swizzle Matlows, who make the famous Love Heart sweets, containing messages such as want you, need you and be mine. They are very much the flavour of sweet for the new coalition. It would not be right to mention the High Peak without reference to its famous limestone that is quarried in great quantities in the south of the constituency, providing jobs and economic benefit to the whole community. Indeed, my right honourable friend, the member from Chingford and Woodford Green, remarked on the vastness of the quarries on his visit to the constituency several years ago. Mr Deputy Speaker, as we move into the stormy waters ahead caused by the deficit left by the party opposite, I would like to commend to the House the actions of the local High Peak Borough Council, who, when they entered into the strategic alliance with neighbouring Staffordshire Moorlands District Council, have driven out over £1 million worth of saving, yet managed to maintain and improve frontline services for their residents. The strategic alliance continues to make strides forwards under the leadership of Councillor Tony Ashton, together with his team of Conservative councillors and supported by the excellent and determined staff of that council. This small borough council has shown a way to us all that savings are there to be made, and we should heed their example. As the Coalition embarks on this Parliament, and I embark on my first and I hope not last term as a member of the High Peak, we are aware of the tough times ahead, but I am and always will remain aware of the problems facing my constituency. In Glossop and Tintwistle, the Tintwistle Bypass is one that has meandered on for many years. It was promised by my predecessor 13 years ago, but has still to be built. It is a difficult issue. There are difficult environmental consequences to be considered, but something needs to be done to alleviate the traffic difficulties suffocating Glossop, and Tintwistle itself shudders and resounds to the thundering of wagons as they cross the Pennines. Money is tight, I know that, and will be for some time, but if money becomes available, a workable solution may be achieved. Both Buxton and Glossop have health service issues. In Glossop, where the Tameside and Glossop PCT prevail, my residents are reliant on Tameside Hospital, the subject of much debate locally. In Buxton, indeed, the remainder of the constituents, the Derbyshire PCT, are responsible for provision, and I will be meeting with the PCT to discuss provisions for hospitals in Buxton and care outside the hospital, the central area. Turning to another situation very quickly, pensions. I made many efforts to help the members of the Turn Renewal Pension Scheme several years ago, and I will continue to make those efforts as it is still in assessment for the PPF. I have met with the PPF, I will be meeting with the independent trustee, and I hope to get the best result for my residents. In summary, the High Peak is a beautiful place to live, and I hope that I can make the residents of the High Peak as proud of me as their MP, as I am as them and the constituency.
Mr. Jim Shannon.